Okay, imagine this. You're on a long road trip, it's late, really late. The road is dark, you don't recognize anything, and you are just bone tired. All you want to do is get home. But what if the road has other plans for you? Today we're going to dig into a truly terrifying creature from Indian folklore that preys on that exact feeling. A deceiver that traps you in a nightmare of its own making.
No, really think about it for a second. That feeling, that knot in your stomach, when the landmarks stop making sense and panic starts to creep in. It's a primal fear, right? The fear of being totally isolated and lost. Well, this is the exact emotion that Chalava feeds on. It finds you when you're at your absolute weakest and turns a simple trip into an endless trap.
Because that's its signature move. See, the Chalava doesn't come at you with claws or fangs. Oh no, it attacks your perception of reality itself. It traps you in this illusionary loop, forcing you to drive down the same stretch of road past the same broken-down truck over and over and over again until your mind just completely breaks from the sheer exhaustion and fear.
Let me tell you a story that really brings this thing to life. Picture this, a bus, packed with college students, heading home late at night. They're driving through this dark, desolate jungle. Everyone's wiped out after a long trip. They're sleepy, their guard is way down, and they are about to drive straight into the Chakalava's hunting ground.
So it starts small. The bus has to stop for some animals, then again for a quick break. Then they get this cryptic warning from a stranger on a bike, which, they just brush off as some local superstition. But a little while later, a student named Sham, he notices something really strange. That tea stall they passed, they're passing it again. That overturned truck, there it is again. And that's when the chilling realization hits them. They aren't moving forward at all. They're trapped.
So what is this thing that has them trapped? This isn't just your garden variety ghost story. Let's really break down the anatomy of this terrifyingly smart predator.
So the name itself, Chalava, it actually comes from the Hindi word for deception or illusion. It's a spirit, and the folklore says it's often someone who died while they were lost traveling at night. It doesn't just haunt a place, it actively ensnares people, making them relive the same route, draining their hope and sanity with every single loop.
And all these traits, they work together in this horrifyingly effective way. Like one of the characters in the story points out that Chalava specifically goes after tired people, because a weary mind has trouble telling what's real and what's not. It uses its power to create these elaborate illusions. We're not just talking repeating roads, but entire phantom villages to ramp up the confusion. And the more fear it creates, the stronger it gets, until it can claim the ultimate prize, possessing the body of one of its victims.
And this, right here, is where the Chalava goes from being a simple trap to a total master manipulator. It doesn't just sit back and wait for you to break. It actively orchestrates your downfall, especially its most dangerous form.
Meet the Amavas Chalava, or the New Moon Chalava. According to the stories, this is a much more powerful version that only comes out on the darkest nights. And it doesn't hunt lone travelers. It prefers big groups, like a bus full of students. And its goal is truly insidious. It wants them to destroy each other.
Just look at how chillingly methodical this is. This is pure psychological warfare. It gets into the group, hiding in plain sight. It finds the easiest target, in this case the student Sham, who was fast asleep, kills him, and takes over his body. And from the inside, it becomes the voice of reason, the helpful one, all while planting these little seeds of doubt and fear. It points fingers, starts arguments, and engineers these situations where the terrified survivors end up turning on each other.
And this leads to the horrifying climax of the story. After manipulating the group into killing their own teachers and the bus driver, the person they thought was their friend Sham reveals his true identity with these bone-chilling words. The monster wasn't outside trying to get in. It had been inside with them the whole time, pulling all the strings.
So, how in the world do you fight something like that? How do you possibly battle an enemy that controls what you see, what you hear, and even who you trust? What would you do? It honestly seems impossible.
The fight isn't physical. It's a battle for your own mind. The Chalava shows you a version of reality that's specifically designed to break you. In one story, it creates a whole phantom village just to trick a teacher into thinking he's watching his family die, driving him to suicide. The Chalava twists everything you know and trust into something grotesque, just to shatter your faith in your own senses.
But here's the thing. Even the most perfect lie has a tell. The Chalava's greatest power is also its greatest weakness.
See, it builds its illusions based on what it can pick up from its victims' minds, but it doesn't know everything. It's a mimic, not a god. It can't perfectly copy a person's entire life, every memory, every little quirk. And one single, tiny, out-of-place detail is all it takes for the whole illusion to fall apart. Your own knowledge is the weapon.
And this is the moment. This is the turning point. The Chalava, pretending to be Sham, makes one simple mistake. It says it knows how to drive a bus because its uncle has a travel agency. But Sham's real friend, Shrikant, knows that's a lie. He knows Sham's uncle sells street food. It's such a normal, everyday fact, but in this nightmare, that tiny piece of truth becomes a deadly weapon. It shatters the deception and exposes the monster.
So when we put all of this together, what does it really tell us about this creature? We've seen what it is, and we've seen how its own game can be turned against it. But what is the Chalava truly using as its weapon?
The Chalava isn't some physical powerhouse. When it's finally beaten, it just dissolves into black smoke. Its real power is completely psychological. It doesn't need to be strong when it can weaponize its victims' own paranoia and fear, turning them against each other. The Chalava just sets the stage and hands over the script. The victims are the ones who carry out the tragedy.
And that kind of leaves us with this final thought, doesn't it? In these stories, the creature itself rarely kills anyone after that first victim. It just convinces people to turn on each other, to give up, to surrender to their own terror. So the next time you feel lost, remember the Chalava, and maybe ask yourself, is the real monster the one hiding out there in the dark? Or is it the fear that stops you from finding the light?